What's going on, guys? It's Seth Ford here, and today I am back with another Carolina Panthers video. And so, as you guys know, that the NFL draft is almost less than 3 weeks away for the Carolina Panthers. As you guys also know, that the Carolina Panthers traded away their first-round draft pick last season, and they drafted Bryce Young, and of course, that was a disaster of a season. As you guys know, that we also, for the third time saying, as you guys know, that the Carolina Panthers went 2-15, and it was not a great season. Coaches turned on each other. Coaches also went behind people's backs, and then the owner was crazy, throwing drinks at fans, and then players turning on others, and then just players not performing well. And it was just a disaster, a clown show, just embarrassing as a Carolina Panthers fan, as myself. And of course, the Carolina Panthers fired Frank Reich, and then fired Scott Fitterer. Scott Fitterer basically destroyed the Carolina Panthers with terrible moves, terrible trades. And as you guys also know, that Chris McCaffrey and then DJ Moore, Brian Burns, they're all gone. But Brian Burns was traded away by the new general manager, Dan Morgan, who's done a fantastic job so far. Hopefully, we've done. All this will translate into this year's season. And of course, Dave Canales is the new Carolina Panthers head coach. And so far, the free agency has been decent, in my opinion. They got players they need so far to fill some holes, but they still need a lot more holes to fill coming weeks of the NFL draft. And I think that Dan Morgan as a GM will do well. And of course, if David Tepper would just sit back and then watch how he'll do with Dave Canales, and of course Brandon Tillis, who is the new player personnel guy who does all the signings and money stuff as well. Also, Derek Brown signed a 4-year contract worth $96 million, which that was huge as well because he had a great season last year. Though they were 2-15, that he led the league in tackles as a defensive tackle. And so, as a further ado, let's go ahead and go through this video. This is my sleeper draft pick if these players are, or this particular player is still on the board to take at the 33rd draft. The wide receivers this year are completely stacked with Keon Coleman, with I'm blanking. Oh, with Marvin Harrison, just guys like those guys. And then Xavier Worthy or Xavier Legette. And it's just there's so many other receivers that are or that Lad McConkey. I can't pronounce that dude's last name. And then if I'm forgetting other players as well, but there's still a lot of good receivers in this year's draft class. So hopefully that this guy, who is my sleeper draft pick that people really aren't talking about too much, Panther fans are talking about Xavier Worthy, Lad McConkey, or Xavier Legette. But I think that if this guy is still on the board, Adonai Mitchell for the Texas Longhorns, he's 6'4", 196 pounds, played, I believe, at Georgia, and then he transferred to Texas the next 2 years. And so I'm going to give you a comparison between Keon Coleman and, of course, Adonai Mitchell, and to see who would be the better draft pick. Oh, also Troy Franklin, another guy who's a beast as well. He is another top 5 draft pick. And then Odunze from Washington. There's so many guys in this year's draft class. It's just insane that it's going to be just a stacked draft class, in my opinion. And hopefully all those guys will ball out in the NFL for their careers. So his freshman season, as you guys see, this is on PFF. And so his freshman season, he went 63.8. Sophomore season went 67.1, and has a best season as a junior, I guess you can say, because there's only 3 seasons on here. 71.9 overall grade. You can see he kept developing each by year. And then games played, 15 his freshman year. And I guess he got hurt his sophomore year. And then last year, he had 14 games played. Passing snaps, 273, 92, and then 511 his junior season. And of course, slot pass snaps. I guess he was a slot receiver mainly this year for Quinn Ewers in Texas and Steve Sarkisian's offense. So he had 94 slot snaps, but though no, never mind. He's a tall. Why would a 6'4" player be in a slot receiver? But he also played in the slot. But he also played in the wide spot as well with 417, as you guys can see right here. And of course, compared to he had 261, 83 to 417 receptions. He had a great. He was targeted a lot this year for Texas with 55 receptions compared to 9 in the 29. He had 86 targets, which is pretty good for a receiver if you played for Texas. In the yards, he had 845 receiving yards and also had 15.4 yards average. There's also another guy for Texas that's also really good that I can't remember who it was, but I'm just having a blank in my mind, but I'm sure someone in the comment section will tell me. So, touchdowns, 11 touchdowns, really, really good for his junior season compared to the last 2 seasons. And then we go to Keon Coleman, the Florida State standout. He was a baller the last 2 seasons, though you can say he kind of regressed his overall grade from 76.1 to 70.3. His freshman year did pretty good. Just for his freshman year, he had games played 12 for both sophomore and for junior season. Almost similar passing snaps, 416 compared to 404. Slot snaps, he had 119 compared to 23 of his sophomore season. My bad. Wide snaps, of course, because he's 6'4". He had 393, but he kind of regressed to 280. I guess he had more slot than more wide snaps. And I guess you can say wide snaps are like fade routes or just go routes type of player. Just go all the way down the field, deep ball passes. So I guess they use him a lot more like screen type passes, in my opinion. All right, so receptions, almost similar. He had less receptions this year compared to last year. Only 8, not much difference. Targets, he still had the same amount of targets, 88 to 87. Last year, though, he had more receiving yards, which is 798 compared to 658 receiving yards. Yards per reception, still almost similar. And then, of course, which is 13.2 to 13.8. And he also had the same amount of touchdowns as Adonai Mitchell, which was 11. And he had more touchdowns this year compared to last year. So he's still a solid receiver. And we're going back to Adonai Mitchell and the 2023 comparables, which I guess you can say by the graph of this chart is on the right side is good, on the left side is not so good. So he had overall 74.1 receiving grade, pretty good. And then his yards per route run, which was 1.72, and I guess you can say he struggled there because it was a little bit on the grid to below, so that's not great. Drop rate, he had a 1.8% drop rate, which is good because, so that, as you say, that's on the right side, so that's really, really good. He had less drops this year. And then contested catch rate, not so great, but still 36.4%. And then his overall grade against man coverage, which is 1v1, 66.9, which was still average above the line, but still pretty good, in my opinion. All right, so Keon Coleman's, we go here. He had a 70.6 overall grade, still pretty good. A green is still good. He had same thing with Adonai. He had 1.74 yards per route run, so that's still bad, I guess you can say, on the left side of the grid. And a drop rate, he had still a pretty solid drop rate, which is 3.8%. So that's what? Okay, so he still didn't really have a lot of drops this year, which is pretty good compared, to just also. But Adonai had a better, less drop rate than Keon. And the contested catch rate, not so great, 33.3%. I guess the orange means it's very, very bad. And then, of course, he was better at Adonai's man coverage, which is 70.6, which was like 4-point difference, which is good. And then, lastly, we have the advanced stats. 2 drops, yards per catch, reception tied for 118th, 6.3. Missed tackles, had 10 missed tackles, not too bad at all. Average depth of target, 12.4. Deep catches, he had 8 deep catches. He had a ton of screen catches, which was 18. for Keon Coleman. And then slot catches, he had 11. And then slot yards, he had 168, which is a lot. Compared to screen yards and deep yards, 257. Pretty good for a 6'4" guy for Keon. And then lastly, we have Adonai Mitchell. He had one drop better, one less better than Keon. Missed tackles, he had six. Which Keon had more than missed tackles than Adonai. And deep catches, 8, tied for 88. Screen catches, he had less, which was 3. Slot pass catches, 5. And then contested catches, 4. Slot yards, 69. Screen yards, 29. Deep yards, pretty good, 302. And then average, 16.0. And then yards per catch, 3.2. All right, so let me know what you guys think about this. Should the Carolina Panthers draft Adonai Mitchell if he's still on the board, or if Keon Coleman is still on the board as well? Let me know what you guys think. I think that Adonai Mitchell is my sleeper draft pick if the Carolina Panthers have him available. I think they should go after him if he's available. But let's go look at his grades by game. It wasn't that good with Rice. Alabama still 56 average. Wyoming average, Baylor not so bad, and then really good against Kansas, not pretty average against Oklahoma. Okay for Houston, solid for BYU, solid against Kansas State, pretty decent with TCU, pretty good with Iowa State, Texas Tech not so bad, Oklahoma State not so bad, and it kind of slept a little bit against Washington, but yeah, this is my sleeper pick for this year's draft class. I'll probably try to make some more videos on other players as well. Let me know what you guys think about this. Who do you think that will be the Carolina Panthers' 33rd pick? Hopefully it would be Adonai, or it could be Keon Coleman. I would like a big receiver because DJ Chark wasn't that great last year. Got injured way too much. But we need a young player who's fast, physical, or could be Xavier Worthy, could be Xavier Legette, Troy Franklin, would love him as well, or any other receivers on the draft class for this year. All right, guys, keep pounding. Go Panthers, and see y'all next time.